Yo, what's up? Welcome to another build guide. So today's build is gonna be a fun one and a off-meta build, let's say, because it is a concrete raider and also using Dorian's prototype body armor. So I just wanted to make some fun build because the league is pretty much dead. That's why I decided to do this kind of build. So first of all, the single target DPS with this investment and some of my items are not even min-max, they are just some cheaply crafted items, and we are gonna talk about those while I am explaining the gear. That's why I actually lost a couple of million DPS, and you can easily push that further, and I will also explain how to do that while explaining some of the equipment. So you can actually have a better single target DPS if you bother doing that, because I mostly planned this character for fast and fun mapping, which worked pretty well. With the state, you already watched some of the clips and more clips are gonna roll at the background. So this character can easily farm high red tier maps with sextant modifiers, Awaken level 8, 9, whatever you are at, and also kill Conquerors, Sirus with ease, even with this investment. So because this is a concrete build, obviously this is not gonna be cheap, but I haven't spent crazy amounts. I spent somewhere between 60 or 70 exalt, I believe, with the battle fate. Most of my items are like 1 exalt. Some of them are uniques, which are cheap actually. So we are gonna talk all about those. But make sure in the path of building, if you want to min-max the build, I will also prepare another equipment set with min-maxed gear, which will have obviously more DPS. So consider checking that and upgrade your character if you really enjoy the build. And one last thing before I start explaining, because this is a dead league, no one plays, the player count was very low in this league and decreasing each day, unfortunately. That's why I actually do not recommend you to try this build right now, because you might have some problems with there's a specific unique to make this build work. So that's why I highly recommend you to maybe copy this video to somewhere, put it on your bookmark or whatever it is called, and maybe play this build in the upcoming league 3.16 or maybe later. That's what I will recommend you, because while I am explaining the items, you will understand what I mean by that. So let's first talk about the core items and also that specific item, and you will understand what's going on. So this is the gear section right now. So Dorian's prototype, the main item for this build. Deal no non-lightning damage, that's why we are playing with lightning skills. Armor also applies to lightning damage taken from hits. This is a raider, so do not expect armor from this character. So that's not something that considers us. Lightning resist does not affect lightning damage taken, alright. And finally, nearby enemies have lightning resistance equal to yours. So this means that, for example, if I have 50 lightning resistances, all the enemies also gonna have 50 resistance. If I have minus 100 resist, so the enemies also gonna have minus 100 resist. So the point of this chest is you need to lower your lightning resistances, so the monsters will also have the same amount. So actually you can just penetrate lots of inner shield, and not inner shield, resistances, what am I saying? So you just want to have low lightning resist. So you're gonna say, aren't we gonna die? So the next item, the reason that I don't recommend you to play this build right now, because the prices are gonna blow up. That's why you should wait for the upcoming league. Eyes of the Great Wolf talisman with lightning damage from hits taken as cold or fire damage. There are two variants. You can use whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But you just want an Eyes of the Great Wolf with lightning damage from hits taken as something, because that actually converts all the lightning damage taken from hits to another element. That way you can survive. Otherwise you will just die because you don't have lightning resistance. My lightning resist is minus 132, and you can even go for more with the min-maxed gear. So that's why if you don't use this amulet talisman, that's the same thing. You will just die instantly if you get hit by something lightning. That's why these are two core items for this build, otherwise you cannot play this build. So consider waiting for the upcoming league and snipe for this amulet. There is obviously another modifier on this amulet. I picked attack speed so I can keep my attack speed easier because it's a cast on crit build. You need some breakpoints. Maybe I will explain a little bit of that. That's why you need this talisman. You can even find something else, another modifier apart from attack cast speed. Maybe damage crit multiplier or something that works for the build. So make sure you get something with lightning damage from it's taken as fire or cold with a decent modifier depending on your budget. So these were the core items so you don't die. Because we want to lower our resistances, we are using Venter's Gamble rings. I am only using one ring because I couldn't min-max. Again, I am telling you, I only have one ring with minus lightning resist and plus other resistances, so I can keep those resistances. So in the end, you want to keep your fire and cold resist. Obviously, you can also go for some chaos resist, so you don't die to cast damage easily, because that hurts a lot. But you don't have to worry about lightning resist at all. Avoid all elemental resistances from your gear. Do not get that because you will have lightning resistance, obviously, if you have something with all elemental resistances. That will actually lower your DPS. So do not get any kind of those kind of items. And we are obviously also using a couple of Thread of Hope Jewels with the lowest rolls possible. That's why they are cheap. Minus 20. Or maybe if you need one resist, something like that for your fire resist, you can also get minus 19 or minus 18. But the lower is the better because we want to lower that lightning resist a lot. So these were the core items. I will explain rest of the items. But first of all, I need to explain a little bit of cast on crit. But this is not going to be a detailed cast on crit explanation. If you really want that, I have a written guide for my cast on crit Forbidden Rite Occultist build, which I posted maybe a month ago. I also have, I already have a written forum guide where I explained the breakpoints, how cast on crit works, because that's a little complicated for especially new players, or if you are not familiar with the concept. That's why I highly recommend you to read that guide. There will be a link for that forum guide in the description. So if you don't know how cast on crit works, what to look out for, you must read that. Otherwise, you will lose all your DPS if you make any small mistake. Because this kind of cast on crit builds requires a careful planning and yeah, that's pretty much it. But in the end, I picked 14 cooldown breakpoint. And that's why we are using Awakened cast on crit support gem. So I don't have to worry about cooldown recovery on my items. But if you have a good boots or a belt with cooldown recovery, that's also fine. Make sure that you get 14 cooldown. The more doesn't matter. You just need to have at least 14. So you hit that breakpoint. That's why we also want to be around 7 to 7.56, 55, whatever that, what amount that you can push, alright? So the attack speed that you want should be around that value. Do not go above 7.57, otherwise you will lose DPS because we are playing with 14 cooldown break point. Because our main weapon is Mjolnir one-handed mace. Trigger a socketed lightning spell on hit with a blah blah second cooldown. This is where we have Arc, one of the most popular choice for this weapon, because this weapon also provides skill chain +1 times. So we actually have two separate cast on crit setups, which will proc at the same time. So you will see shock novas plus arcs happening at the same time. So you're gonna say, how are we gonna use this? This is a raider, how can we push that strength and intelligence? That's where, where's this? Elegant Hubris with Commander Caspiro. So if you use this, this will provide you the keystone, Supreme Ostentation, ignore attribute requirements, bam, problem solved. But you don't gain any inherent bonus from attributes, which means intelligence provides inner shield, mana, strength provides melee physical damage and life, dexterity provides evasion and accuracy, as far as I know. So you don't get any of those bonuses, which don't even matter for this build. So you can use any equipment, any gem without pushing those stats, attributes. I right now have 24 strength. The character is just weak. Alright, she has weak arms and she can still wield this powerful weapon which requires more than 400 strength. So you don't have to worry about attributes at all. Problem fixed. So this is where your arc is. The gem setups are obviously in the path of building. So rest of the items are gonna focus on keeping our fire and cold resistances. Also getting some crit strike chance, because it's a cast on crit build. We need to have a 100% crit strike chance on our Cyclone, because Cyclone is what triggers our cast on crit setups. And also that's why we need accuracy, fire and cold resist, and maybe try to lower our lightning resist even more. So next item, shield, so we can be tankier and we can get those desired stats. Life, resistances, accuracy. This is a good way to get accuracy. You can also put accuracy on your ring, but also helmet, yeah, because our amulet is already unique and we should try using Ventor's Gamble rings. That's why it is hard to get accuracy on rings. That's why I highly recommend you to get accuracy from your shield, because it's gonna be rare, 100% sure, and also helmet, because it is also gonna be rare, because I believe they make more sense, because there is not much DPS to get from those pieces. That's why accuracy is also #1 stat. Do you really need socketed gems have reduced reservation? Not really. You can maybe skip a higher level precision or Herald of Thunder, because that actually don't do much work, but obviously you will lose a little DPS if you skip any of those. That's why you can also try to get a shield with reduced reservation, but if you cannot do that, just make sure you skip Herald of Thunder or use a lower level precision, so you can fix that mana issue. For helmet, first of all, I picked Assassin Mark Curse effect, so I can have higher crit strike chance. Maybe I will lose that Battle Fate charges on a boss, something happens like that. That's why I wanted to have that higher crit strike chance. That's why I picked Assassin Mark Curse effect. You can also go for Shock Nova damage, or maybe any reservation enchant if you cannot find a shield with reserve reduce. So make sure you pick enchant depending on what you want. So also a reservation reduce for Wrath Aura, because that's something that we use. We also use Precision and Herald of Thunder, so you can maybe get a reservation. So make sure you do your calculations depending on your shield choice. So maybe you can have a different enchant for your helmet. I don't even have any influence on this one. That's what I said at the start. Some of my items are ridiculously cheap. I just bought the base for a couple of chaos, used a couple of fossils actually, and bam, that was it. Because I couldn't max my resistances, fire and cold resistances from some of my pieces, I can actually lower my lightning resist even more, but I couldn't do that. That's why there will be another separate set of gear with a better gear, so you can have more DPS, couple million more even. Yeah, so this was my helmet. I just wanted to have accuracy, that's why I use serrated fossils. Plus maybe prismatic, so you can focus those resistances if you want, or maybe pristine for life. So in the end, again, accuracy is a good way to get on your helmet, and resistances and life. That's pretty much it for this piece. Gloves. I just wanted to push my crit strike chance, because my crit was like 95%, I believe. So I just wanted to have more reliable crits. That's why I picked something with corruption. There are lots of results like this, and they are like 20-30 chaos, because no one buys these. So you just obviously want life, fire and cold resist, avoid lightning resist at all costs, because this is also going to be corrupted, because it has a corrupted implicit with attacks have crit strike chance for our Cyclone, obviously, because Shock Nova is a spell. So if your crit strike chance for Cyclone is not 100%, consider getting a gloves like this, or maybe even get Hands of High Templar. That's a unique glove that drops from Sirus, which can have attacks have crit strike chance implicit, but that gloves actually has lightning resistances. That's why I don't actually recommend that. That's why I picked this rare gloves instead, which was cheap. But again, if your crit strike chance is already kept, you don't need this. Just use another rare gloves, maybe something that also gives DPS. But in the end, actually the best gloves for this build is a, I don't know how to pronounce this, abhorrent whatever interrogation. This is actually broken for this kind of build, because we already do not penetrate or ignore the resistances, because the enemy's resistances are equal to our resistance, lightning resist, thanks to Dorian prototype chest. That's why that final sentence doesn't even matter. But the thing about this, chance to inflict wither for 2 seconds on hit. We are using Cyclone and proccing lots of spells in a second, so this is gonna be up all the time. We have lots of procs happening, so we can have that wither instantly with that 25% chance. And enemy take 4% increased elemental damage from your hits for each wither. So you can also use Wither step before entering the boss. Bam, lots of stacks. You can just apply lots of stacks instantly. The rest will just gonna get applied thanks to that 25% Wither chance on hit, which again are our Cyclone plus Arc plus Shock Nova. So you can just cap that Wither. Wither caps at 15 stacks. So this means 60% increased elemental damage taken from hits, which is ridiculously powerful. So this gloves is actually alone provides at least 1 million DPS easily. So this is also going to be in the path of building. So in the end, you should use this gloves actually. I didn't use this because I couldn't min-max my resistances. If I do not use these gloves, I have lower cold and fire resist, which obviously is not good for my character. That's why I couldn't use this, but you need to use this somehow. You need to get those resistances from other pieces. So make sure you consider using this if you need a better single target DPS in the end, because this gloves is simply broken for Dorian prototype builds. Boots, because I don't need cooldown, because I am using Awaken cast on crit, which provides cooldown already. I just picked elusive, so my character will have more dodge, because this is a raider character which do not have much mitigation because it is a dodge character. That's why I need to push that dodge chance. And elusive also provides movement speed, which is very good for Cyclone, so we can move fast. The character is super fast while mapping. You don't feel slow at all. This is a fun mapper character. So elusive, resist, life, movement speed, that's pretty much it. If you have an open suffix, you can put avoid elemental ailments, which is very good because Raider already has 50% avoid ailments after the nerfs happened in 3.15. We also have some avoid ailments on the talent tree, and if you also use this kind of boots, you will have almost 90% avoid ailments, so you can avoid those shocks and freezes most of the times. You can also maybe min-max that avoid ailment from talent tree, or maybe use some jewels if you can, so you can also have 100% avoid for everything. But my character had 88% avoid ailments, which was okay for me. I'm not playing on hardcore obviously, so I don't mind. That worked pretty well. One of my rings, I already said, Venter's Gamble. So minus lightning resist obviously, and plus fire and cold. That's pretty much it. That's what you want. For the other ring, if you can push those resistances somehow, you can use another Venter's Gamble. But I couldn't do that. That's why I used an Assassin Mark curse ring, because I also need that curse. So you should probably use something like this, because we want Assassin Mark to cap our crit strike chance. If you still need accuracy, put that, otherwise life and fire and cold resistances. You can also put non-channel skills have minus mana cost. That is not super needed, but obviously helps a little bit. So normally the character doesn't need that much of a mana. So you don't have much mana issue, but on single target you actually have some mana issues. That's why I am playing with an enduring mana flask. So depending on your if you think that you lose your mana even with the flask, but that is probably not gonna happen, you can put non-channel skills have mana cost, or maybe do not even use that, because that mana flask actually fixes the issue. So that's pretty much it. And final, a belt. I just wanted to push resistances and life, that's why a hunter based belt. If you don't have hunter base, if you cannot afford it, just a regular sticky wise life resistances, that's pretty much it. If you want to craft this kind of belt, I already have a guide that I posted years ago. That's how we craft it, that's how you make lots of profit. But right now the league is pretty much dead, so don't expect to craft this right now, because you won't find the required base for cheaper. I already have the guide in my channel, and I believe it is already in the description, always in the description. So if you still haven't watched that, it is your loss actually, because the market for these kind of belts are actually crazy, and you can make lots of profit while crafting these, because people still don't know how to craft this for some reason, which is ridiculously easy. So make sure that you watch that guide if you want, and maybe consider making profit with that method in the next league, while the player base is active. Unlikely now, yeah, because it is pretty much dead right now. Because this is also sticking wise, I am also using a rare jewel in this with life and crit multiplier, those kind of needed, necessary stats. In this part, we're gonna take a look at the talent tree, so I can show you those Thread of Hope locations, and maybe some other, whatever we are using. Yeah. So first of all, let's take a look at the Thread of Hopes. Because this is a raider, I want to get the frenzy charges. That's why I make something like this. The tree is all over the place, here and also up here. Because it's a spell build and raider, this part doesn't even have anything. That's why I pushed some cluster jewels, which are actually, these ones are popular for every build. They are like 1 exalt right now. They are always at that price, so you can just buy these easily. Pressure point and quick getaways. So I'm just gonna mention cluster jewels later. Let's just take a look at the Thread of Hopes first. So Thread of Hope is a unique jewel that drops from Sirus to Awakener, if you don't know, which lowers our resistances. That's why we need a lower roll, so we can have even less lightning resist. My lightning resist again is minus whatever, but I believe, yeah, I showed this. Yeah, this is my gear right now. So kept fire and cold resist, minus lightning resist. Try to maybe push your chaos resist. I couldn't do that. Again, my gear is not crazy. You can just min-max this character if you really enjoy it. A Thread of Hope here, a large one, so I can get Art of Gladiator. If you have kept attack speed, if you already hit the breakpoint, which is 7.56, the max one, because after 7.67, 57, yeah. So you will actually start losing DPS. That's why this is the ideal attack speed. If you have 7.5, that is also okay. So anything more than 7 works good for this build. So maybe you don't need this. If you don't need this, maybe you can use a different Thread of Hope here. Maybe do not even get this if you want. Maybe Sutop here or put another jewel here. I'm not sure. If you actually use a medium one, you can just get this Disciple of Slaughter, which is actually anointed on my amulet. So you can also use a medium one, get this instead. If you have a capped attack speed, use another anoint on your amulet. Maybe get Heart of Thunder, where's that? Lightning damage and penetration. Let's check wait. Yeah, we can actually penetrate. But if you use these gloves, you cannot actually penetrate, yeah. So maybe, yes, if you are playing with these gloves, you cannot actually penetrate, so any penetration doesn't do anything. That's why don't use Heart of Thunder if you are playing with those unique gloves, which you should in the end, because they are simply broken, provides millions of DPS. Yeah, so you can use different size of Thread of Hopes if you need different stats. So if you don't need attack speed, just get something else again. So this is where I used Elegant Hubris, so I can convert this point blank to Supreme Ostentation. So I don't need to worry about attributes at all, so I can use this Mjolnir easily. Because this part doesn't have anything, it just have dexterity notes. That's why this is a safe place to put, because this actually deletes everything in the radius, so they don't provide anything at all. But this is a safe place, so you should use this jewel here, so you can get this one. What else? An Intuitive Leap, so I can get any notable without even connecting to the tree. Heartseeker for crit multiplier, Equity, attack speed, accuracy. Again, obviously frenzy charges because this is a raider. Life. If you still need more crit, you can also get this. If you don't have a capped crit. And that's it. Another Thread of Hope here. I got Hired Killer for life and recover. This helps a lot while mapping, because we kill a lot of monsters, so the recovery is gonna be huge on those juiced maps. So you can heal easily. Heart of Oak, life, and avoid stunt, those kind of stuff. So not that special. So we just want to use this Thread of Hopes. That's the only reason. Another one here, so I can get Assassination, crit multiplier. Again, you can use different sizes. Maybe if you want to get this one instead, because you can also do that. I don't know. If you think something, I believe if you use what's this large, if you use medium, I believe you can get this accuracy note here. Let's also check that. I already have the Thread of Hopes here, every size. Let's find that one, not this one. Yeah, this one. Let's see what happens if we use a medium one instead. This one. No, not this one. But this is also, no, this is for attacks. Yeah, not this one. Yeah, I believe you need a small one. And yeah, depth perception. So you can have that accuracy if you still need that. Actually, maybe if you do this instead and put a medium one and get this instead, maybe that makes more sense. I need to check that after the video maybe. Because we already got the... but this also gives attack speed. Does this one have attack speed? No, yeah. So yeah, if you need accuracy and crit strike chance, maybe consider using a small one and get this one instead. So again, try using different size of Thread of Hopes if you think something else is better for your character. This also works, by the way, because we are playing with a shield, but this is a dodge build, so I'm not sure how much it will provide actually. Not that much. But yeah, consider using different sizes. You get the idea. I don't want to talk longer. Alright. So finally, cluster jewels. So first of all, I forgot to mention that if because we are playing it today maze, you can get fortify easily with overlord clusters or a corrupted Mjolnir. So if you cannot afford the corrupted Mjolnir, which was like 4 or 5 exalt when I bought it, but it is gonna be obviously more if the market is dead, you can actually get mace and stuff, large cluster with overlord. Because it will provide fortify for 6 seconds on melee hit with a mace, which is what we are using. So that's why if you don't have a corrupted Mjolnir, one of your cluster jewels should be something like this. Overlord. Probably fuel the fight, so that will save you some points. If you cannot find this, obviously maybe get different combinations. I believe there's also martial pros. Yeah, because this provides attack speed and accuracy, which is needed for this build. So something like this should be the ultimate combination, because Fuel the Fight also provides attack speed. So you can push that cap breakpoint easier. And also this provides leech mana, which we also have on Talent Tree. Mind Drinker, because this works and helps a lot while mapping. So maybe you can skip this, use this kind of cluster instead. And yeah, you can do this. Fuel the Fight, Leech, Overlord, Fortify, Martial Pros, but it's gonna be expensive. That's why maybe you can skip one of these notables. So maybe something like this is gonna be cheaper, or maybe something like this is gonna be cheaper. So a 2 passive one maybe. So make sure that you get that Fortify, so your character is gonna be can be a tankier, or buy a Mjolnir with Fortify or melee hit. All right. So make sure you fix that Fortify issue. So the other large is gonna be a lightning one. The most important stat here is Overshock, so you can increase that shock value up to 60%. I actually saw 58%, I believe, on Sirus and most Guardians. So you can actually push that 60%. That's why I typed, where's this? 50% here. Maybe I can also type something like this. But it goes up to 60%. That's the cap for this build. Yeah, it is. So let's say 55% shock chance. You can just push that. So a single Overshock, you don't need more of those, but obviously effect of lightning helms will maybe matter. This doesn't work. I just picked this because it had elemental damage, and this combination was actually very cheap, because we are not actually using the elemental skills. They are actually triggered. So as far as I know, this doesn't work, but that elemental damage obviously provides DPS. So you just want Overshock plus Thunderstruck. This is very powerful. Provides lightning damage and crit strike chance, which is needed for cast on crit obviously, and also it knockbacks shocked enemies, which actually helps you to survive while mapping. So a knockback is actually very good, because you just push the monster back. That actually helps, and I like it. But if you use only a single lightning cluster, if you need an overlord one, we are actually missing something right now, which was on my other jewel. So consider also getting that. Where's that? Where's my jewel? I need to find that. Yeah, this one. Doriani Lesson, yeah. Because the character normally have no leech life from elemental damage. That's why you need this actually. This is a must, a Doriani Lesson. That is also a suffix, so you can maybe get something with Thunderstruck, Doriani Lesson, and Overshock. If that isn't expensive, I have no idea, I haven't used that. But you absolutely need, so let's sum things up. On your large jewels, if you don't have Fortify, a large one with Overlord. A single one, alright. If you also can also put Fuel the Fight, you can also skip this here, alright. These mana leech node here, alright. Later on, another large cluster with a single Overshock, single Doriani's Lesson, so I can leech, and a single Thunderstruck. So you need these at least. If you use 2 different large lightning jewels, which I did, I was playing like this because I already have Fortify on my mace. So I can just get Doriani on this one, another Thunderstrike maybe, Overshock. This doesn't work again. You can maybe get something like this if it is cheaper. So that's pretty much it. That sums up the large clusters. For mediums, because this is cast on crit, we need crit, straightforward pressure points, crit and double damage chance for lots of DPS. See, if you still need attack speed, quick getaway. If you don't need attack speed, if your attack speed is already at this value, get something with basic of pain, because it provides damage plus crit strike chance. If you are capped at crit strike chance, get Skullbreaker instead. So get something with pressure points, alright? Pressure point plus something. And this one have Unnerve. Unnerve provides 10% increased spell damage taken. You can just tick it here. So this is good for more boss DPS. Culling Strike, so I can kill the bosses faster. That's why a Curse cluster, something like this, helps for those boss fights. But if you still need crit strike chance, get another one of these and do not use this, alright? Because crit is number one stat, you need to have 100% crit strike chance at all. Another quick getaway pressure point. And one final thing, let's just craft it here because I actually forgot that. Let's say ailment medium cluster. So you can actually generate power charges in this build with some cluster jewel action. What was that? Effect of non-damage, yeah. Storm Rider and... No, not this one. Where's that? Yeah, this one. So this is the combination that you want. You also need to use one of these. So nearby enemies are chilled. Because this is a lightning build, we normally do not chill, obviously, because we don't deal cold damage. So nearby enemies are chilled with chilling presence. Then Storm Rider, which also exists on large cluster jewels, because my jewel also has that Storm Rider. That's why my medium jewel do not have this. So, but you can also get this one instead, a medium jewel. Alright, Storm Rider, 10% chance to gain power charge when you shock a chilled enemy. Because we already chill the enemies without doing anything, you can just get those power charges easily, because we shock all the time. Because if you want to push that power crit strike chance, which I believe I need. Yeah, right now my Cyclone doesn't have a 100% chance to crit. That's why I needed those power charges. That's why I use something like this. Chilling Presence plus Storm Rider. You can obviously also get Megalomaniac Jewels. That's what I did. It was too exiled. I forgot to delete the price tag. Maybe you can get a good combination. So I found a pressure point with Chilling Presence. If you cannot find a good combination, it doesn't have to be pressure point. It can be anything that you want. It can even be Overlord if that exists. You know, it will be crazy actually. Chilling Presence, Storm Rider. So you also need to get this combination. It can also be this jewel again. You just use this instead. Bam! This was it. You know, you don't need a Megalomaniac, alright? You can also do this. And in the end, you also need to generate power charges if you still need crit strike chance. We are almost done. Let's also check the rare jewels, which I don't have many. I needed to keep my attack speed, so as you can see, this provides only attack speed. So we are using a shield, so shield attack speed works. We are using a mace, mace attack speed works. One-handed weapon attack speed also works. Global attack speed also works. So yeah, just get attack speed if you still need attack speed. Otherwise, get crit multiplier and maybe life. That's what I did on my second jewel. Crit multiplier with lightning skills, and that's actually pretty much it, because I wanted corrupted blood. A one-handed crit multiplier doesn't work because this is a spell build. We are not dealing damage with Cyclone that much, so that actually doesn't even work. So the only thing that works here is that lightning skill, crit multiplier. Because corrupted blood immunity is obviously very good while mapping. Because I mostly played this character as a mapper character, I highly suggest you to get a rare gel with corrupt blood immunity, so you don't die to those corrupt blood stacks. You can obviously remove them with a staunching flask, but sometimes it is too late. You just cannot notice it in that all the chaos happening in the map. And that's pretty much it. Finally, a Watcher's Eye. If you still need crit strike chance, a rat crit strike chance, which was ridiculously cheap because no one uses this. I also wanted to get some minus mana cost, which is not even needed. That's why I picked something with clarity. So in the end, you just want a rat crit strike chance if you still need resistance, not resist, crit strike chance. Or if you don't want that, because red is the aura that we use, you can get a red, what is that? Lightning damage. Or penetration, that also works. But again, penetration doesn't work if you also use these gloves. Because it says your hits cannot penetrate. So if you have these gloves, if you min-max your character, because again, I highly suggest you to use this in the end, because this is simply broken. And you cannot actually get any penetration. That's why, again, I am reminding you, do not even get Heart of Thunder or any penetration on your jewels, because they also exist on large lightning jewels actually. And maybe a boots enchant. So a boots enchant with lightning damage, if you haven't killed recently, is actually better for bosses. But if you want to mainly play with this character for mapping, use stun avoid if you have killed recently, because it provides 80%. Let me just also show you if you don't know. Apply enchantment. I am too lazy to write. Yeah, here. 80% chance to have it being stunned if you have killed recently, which is gonna be almost all the time while mapping. And the rest of the 20% is already here. Heart of Oak, so bam, 100% avoid stunned. So you are basically unstoppable while mapping. So consider getting enchanting your boots with that. Finally, summoning the gems. Shock Nova setup as a 6-link in our body armor. Make sure you use Awaken cast on crit if you do not have 14 cooldown on your belt or boots. So in the end, you just need at least 14 cooldown, 14% cooldown, which is already on an Awaken cast on crit gem. That's why I paid for this. So I don't have to worry about those kind of gear pieces. Rest of the gems as usual. Shock Nova, crit damage, crit strike chance, and added lightning damage. Arc setup in our Mjolnir, so that also procs. Arc, added light, ally focus. Shock Nova already shocked, so that's why I didn't want shock chance on my arc. That's why I picked ally focus, because that provided more DPS. You can actually, I am not 100% sure, but maybe you can use inner weight support. That already provides some damage, but obviously weaker than elemental focus. But if you can get a divergent one, 4% chance to gain inner version when you shock a unique enemy. Normally you need to kill something, but if you can actually proc this on a boss maybe, this actually provides DPS for your Shock Nova. I am not sure if it makes sense, if it is better than LF Focus in the end. I haven't checked that much, but maybe you can try that if you think that is better. Just check the DPS. I haven't checked it, alright. Maybe inner weight can be better, but I'm not sure if you can just proc that instantly with that 4% chance, because it is actually low. Yeah, maybe. That's why this is the setup that I am using. Aura's Precision for accuracy and crit strike chance, which is very important. Red for lightning damage. If you maybe have a double Zealotory Watcher's Eye, maybe Zealotory can actually be better. If you want, you can also check that. Enlighten to reduce the mana costs. If you have this kind of shield with reduced reserve, this is where you need to put your auras. And Herald of Thunder. Again, if you have mana problems, do not use this. This doesn't provide that much of a DPS. Clarity, only 1 levels, because I had a Watcher's Eye with mana cost reduction. Again, you don't need this. You can just skip that clarity modifier, because we are already playing with a mana flask, alright? So you can safely skip clarity, Watcher's Eye if you want, and don't use this, play like this. And for mobility, obviously dash. With a second wind, Anomalous helps a lot because it has +1 cooldown use. This is where you can proc your Arcane Surge, so before entering a boss, make sure you dash once, and then start using your Cyclone, proc your whatever, because Arcane Surge obviously provides more spell damage, and if you also use a Divergent one, it lasts additional 2 seconds, which is very good. And finally Enhance, because there was nothing else to put. That actually only lowers the cooldown of the dash a little bit, you know. And you don't even need this, because I had something on in my bank. You can maybe use a portal gem here if you want. Maybe just also use a golem if you want, but I hate golems. Yeah. There is actually a missing gem here, a final one. Righteous Fire, Wall Righteous Fire. You can also press that at big bosses, because that will provide good DPS, because I believe I missed that, yeah. And you can also press this on bosses, obviously, because it provides a lot of DPS, as you can see. Regular one is actually better. So yeah, let's just also explain this, because that is what I did in Maven fight. You already watched that. If you use a dowsing mana flask, you can actually press normal Righteous Fire, burst the boss, If you think you are in trouble, bam, press your mana flask with dowsing, and you can actually douse your rush fire with that mana flask. So that's a clever way to abuse rush fire without dying, you know. So because normal rush fire actually provides way more DPS compared to wall rush fire. So if you are clever, you can just do that. That is what I did on Maven fight. Consider using dowsing mana flask with this combination if you want to push that DPS. Finally, final thing to mention, because I forgot that, I prepared two different trees. One is for mapping, which have lower DPS, but also uses one inspire learning, so you can farm Nemesis Beyond with this character. I did that. It's fine. It is not crazy good, but it gets the job done. Sometimes you die if you are not careful, or the map is maybe super laggy, because that happens. Because it's a lightning build, you don't chill, freeze, anything at all, so everything jumps at you. So it can be sometimes deadly. So yeah, but in that you can farm those maps if you don't put Delirium Orb or whatever. If you are wondering if you can use Headhunter on this character, absolutely not, because that just butchers your DPS actually. Because Headhunter steals lightning resist from monsters. Sometimes you see plus resistances even. I borrowed a Headhunter from a friend, and I was playing with the character screen open while in the game, you know. I saw that my lightning resist was like 30%, plus 30%, and I was not hitting anything at all. My DPS was just like shit. So Headhunter actually lowers your DPS. I don't actually recommend. But a single Inspire Learning, maybe that also steals lightning resist sometimes. But that also, this also provides some defensive auras, sometimes, you know, some other damage auras. So I actually didn't see any downside of using a single Inspire Learning. But maybe you can also skip that. But in the end, you can also check this Mapper talent tree. And there's a Mapper equipment section here, which you can obviously use without Inspire Learning. Alright, this was something else. So what is different here? A Viridi's Veil helmet, because this provides you are hexproof if you have a magic ring in your right ring slot. Also, enemy hitting you is unlucky if you have a magic ring equipped. So you just want a single magic ring. I just used alteration orbs to craft this. A ruby ring with assassin mark, that was it. You can just craft life from the bench easily. So this was very cheap. Only used like 300 alteration orbs. That was pretty much it. Very easy, very cheap. So I can be tankier. The enemies actually cannot even hit you if you have a high dodge chance, because they are unlucky. And you are hexproof, meaning that you don't get affected by curses at all. So you don't need to roll any curse maps. So this is a better mapper character, which is way tankier thanks to high dodge and unlucky, and doesn't even worry about curses. So this is a version that you can play. That's why it is here. So consider using a Inspire Learning if you want. Or maybe don't even use that, because again, sometimes it lowers your DPS because it steals lightning resistances from the monsters. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like if you are new to the channel. You can also support me in my Patreon for only like a couple of dollars. If you need any further assistance in your builds, you can just support for bigger packages, because I got at least 5 Pastebin reviews, you know, each day, and I am sorry, but I cannot check every one of them. Alright, lots of people are messaging me, and it becomes tiring after some point. That's why I am only doing that if you are a Patreon member. So consider that if you need my assistance, that is the only way I can help you. But for the small questions, any kind of other stuff, I always answer you guys in my Discord channel. So consider joining my Discord if you want to chat with me and other players. That's it. Bye bye.